Welcome back. It's time for us to now have a look at the newspapers. And I do hope that you enjoyed that ministration. That song was just so beautiful and even relates very closely with the word of the day today, reminding us that God will never leave you. He is right there with you. And in those moments, you have got to encourage yourself in the Lord, knowing that this present suffering cannot be compared to the glory that is to be revealed and the joy that awaits us as children of God. And it's time for us now to look at what is being reported on the newspapers. And of course, starting off with matters of politics. And here telling us that President must address the needs of an expectant populace, even as he eyes re-election in 2027. And they have titled this Promises versus Reality. So we have got to look at the scorecard, because at the end of the day, what was promised, what has been fulfilled? Before we re-elect, President William Ruto, we have got to look back and see, did you fulfill the things that you promised when last we elected you? So that is what is being covered today on the Daily Nation. And allow me to just go through some points here. So it says here, it's a mixed bag for President William Ruto as he makes his third State of the Nation address today. While his administration has scored some successes in agriculture, cost of living, economy and infrastructure, the education and health sectors are still a big challenge. What's your plan, Mr. President? That is the question. And I see here, of course, it's important for us to also look at the achievements. Sometimes we only look at what has not happened, but it's important for us to give justice and also look at those things that have been done, things that have not been done. So in the area of healthcare, I'm going to read the promises versus the current status. Number one, he had mentioned that he was going to implement universal health coverage and also ensure equitable access, reduce corruption and improve efficiency. But what we see now is a SHA debt crisis of 76 billion shillings still persisting. We have Rufa hospitals owed 15 billion shillings. Many have abandoned SHA, and also healthcare remains expensive despite more registered health facilities. Now, let's come to agriculture and the cost of living. The promise was to reduce inflation and cost of living through improved food production. Now, let's look at the current status. Inflation fell to 2.7%, which has been the lowest in 17 years, and also import dependency ratio dropped to 17.3%, showing improved local food production, which is a big plus for the Kenya Kwanza government. And I also see here finance and economy. The promise was that he would stabilize the shilling and strengthen the economy and also promote GDP growth and job creation. The current status, shilling appreciated from 162 shillings to 129 shillings to the dollar. That is a 20% gain. The GDP growth showed to 4.7% in 2024 from 5.7% in 2023. So it slowed down to that rate. And 782,000 new jobs created in formal sector accounts for 90%, another huge win. But now on the other side of education, we see resolve teacher shortages and stabilize universities, improve access and quality at all levels of learning. So this is the current status: 76,000 teachers hired, 24,000 more to be hired. Universities increased from 70 to 72, but funding declined from 30 billion shillings to 12.9 billion shillings. And then HELB loans increased to 46.9 billion shillings, but lecturer strikes disrupted learning. So that is where we are as a nation, as a country, looking at the promises versus reality. And all these things are supposed to help us know how then do we move forward? What should be worked on? Maybe we don't even have much time for that, but that will determine whether President William Ruto is re-elected, even as we continue to analyze what has he done for the nation and what sectors are still suffering. And I also see page 10 covering why I had fears of a post-Raila family fallout. This is from Oburu, who says he foresaw this happening. ODM party leader Oburu Oginga has revealed he once cautioned his brother Raila Odinga about the risk of a bitter fallout with the larger Odinga family if they did not conclusively settle outstanding matters. So that is a story covered on page 10, and I feel that we have observed that such wrangles have been there even in the family after the death of Raila Odinga. But as we continue, I'm seeing pages 2 and 3 covering confusion, pain as Kazi Maju scheme lands hundreds of youth in financial trouble, which is very, very unfortunate. Many people are trying to go abroad because they believe that that is where things are much better. But I believe if the Lord has not called you in that direction, you would rather not even go for it, because many people have gone there thinking it's a greener pasture, only to wish that they never left in the first place. So we have to also be discerning as we look for ways to earn more money and to change our lives. And I see page 14 covering governors blame SHA funding gaps for deaths of 934 babies. This is definitely unfortunate, which continues to mirror, the unfortunate situation that we have in the healthcare sector, and especially now because so many fraudulent activities have taken place with the Social Health Authority scheme. But we continue to pray and hope that things are going to stabilize and that all will be well. And I also see pending bills, private varsities demand 58 billion shillings, and this is from state. And I also see Telcom buyback saga resurfaces as MPs push for special audit. Now, let's have a look at the Standard newspaper this morning and see what is also being reported, just to get to be on the know. The top page here is the real state of the nation. And of course, this is in line with what has been covered on the Daily Nation as well. And it says here, Kenyans have spoken. They do not need another ritual of promises. They need a state of the nation that starts where life is actually lived, in the insecurity, the hunger, the shattered services, and the daily grind of 13 million households. Until leaders speak to that honest, painful baseline, every grand vision remains just another speech drifting above a struggling nation. It goes on to say, and going by past rhetoric, it could be another session of oratory full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. A story covered on pages 8 and 9. And it goes ahead to highlight some of the things that really, really do matter. And some of these sectors include the economy. It's saying here the public is focused on jobs, incomes, wealth opportunities, and the soaring cost of living. Infrastructure talk carries little weight without relief from rising food and household expenses. The security here, Kenyans want honesty about crime, terrorism, cybercrime, illicit trade, banditry, and everyday safety. They expect a realistic plan to reduce fear and insecurity in public and private spaces. And then when it comes to households, of course, this is the elephant in the room. The true measure of national progress lies in household well-being, food security, basic rights, income opportunities, participation in governance, and also access to safety and justice. And of course, we also look at corruption, which is another thing. A credible state of the nation account must admit the scale of corruption and outline measurable reductions. Anti-corruption talk without candor lacks legitimacy. And lastly, devolution here. We also have public finances. We have governance and service delivery. So there are several matters, but allow me to just read this one more on devolution. It says confusion over national versus county. So roles continues to affect access to services. Effective devolution should ensure Kenyans get services without needing to navigate government bureaucracy. So that just tells you that Kenyans are speaking, they are talking, and they definitely do want answers. And moving on, I see here there's more information given on Sakaja moves Geoffrey Mosiria in fresh Nairobi County administration reshuffle. And you can have a look at that as well in more detail. And I also see scrap Kenya School of Law. It was a mistake from the word go. This is on the opinion matters, opinion polls. You can have a look at that as well. And maybe, you can let us know. Do you agree with that Kenya School of Law should never have been there from the very beginning? Maybe the lawyers can give us more information on that. And looking at the Business Daily, I'm seeing here Safaricom to raise 40 billion shillings in largest corporate bond. I see Telco gets CMA approval for mega green bond. Farm 6 cash for Kenya, Ethiopia upgrades. And that is covered right there. And I also see global analysts see shilling weakening to 134 shillings against the dollar. And, this also now highlights what we have just addressed, that we have seen the shilling actually gaining strength from 169 to 129, but then now we are seeing global analysts hinting that it may weaken again to 134 shillings. And this is a story covered on the Business Daily here, saying the shilling is expected to weaken against the US dollar to about 134 shillings next year on the back of increased imports and higher cost of servicing foreign public debt. That is a story covered on the Business Daily. And I also see a quote here by one Michael Masharia saying, across the continent, founders are redefining success, choosing sanity over speed and longevity over limelight, a story that has also been covered in more details right there. So you can grab a copy of your favorite newspaper. I've just helped to bring out the highlights, and of course I think what has really come out expressly in the newspapers, especially the Standard and also the Daily Nation, is now as Kenyans we have to be more careful. That is not just about listening to what is pleasant to hear from the manifestos and from the agendas that maybe these politicians are giving us. We have to really be careful and ask ourselves, are they truly fulfilling the promises that they have given? And that now has to be measured with the past, with the things that we saw before. They promised, did we see it being fulfilled? So that is what we are going to keep praying about, that the Lord will keep giving us the wisdom that we need to choose the right leader, so that we are not just choosing leaders for the sake of it, but we are really internalizing and thinking deeply about who we want to be on those leadership positions. So we take a short break even as we pave way for the video of the day. When we come back, we will be looking at it and getting to see what lessons to draw from it. See you in a bit.